Hello, and welcome to day number 66 of the Space Between Ideas 101 Day Challenge. Day 66. This is the last day of the second third. Second third. So we are 2/3 of the way through this program. We are one day away from being 2/3 of the way through this program, through this challenge. This has been a challenge indeed. Will we make it through the last third? I have no idea. I can't believe we've made it this far already. But we have, so let's continue. Now, we've been talking about purposes that motivate. And the idea is that we need to find out the purposes that motivate so that we can help people. Well, we can do two things. First, we can characterize the attitudes of organizations, entities, people. So we're talking about providers and customers, teams, friends, colleagues, enemies. We need to be able to characterize their attitude. And hopefully our enemies are recollecting. Hopefully they have relatively unsuccessful and relatively laid back attitudes. And if they are people that we are working with, hopefully, and we find out that they are recollecting, then hopefully we can help them to increase that laid back effort, that laid back level of effort, and bring it up to the diligent level so they can move from recollecting to striving. Now, once we get through all of these purposes from the book Create Crucial Insight, we have 4 more to go. Then we're going to head back to the state drive checklist. All right, so what we're doing now, as far as the movie, what was it called? Inception. We're doing the dream inside of the dream inside of the dream. All right, so we're playing with this idea of motivation, and we're trying to figure out purposes that motivate. And after we identify all of these purposes that motivate, then we'll be able to characterize all of the different people and entities and consumers, customers, all the different things that we're working with or we could be working with, who are providing or could be providing for us, all the different human elements or legal elements, legal people, companies, entities, which are part of our work environment. And we can characterize these people. We can use these. We can use the state drive checklist to characterize them. That guy is recollecting. That guy is striving. And then we're going to go back after 4 days and talk about those other 2 areas. Because of course there's 4 quadrants. So because if you have laid back and diligent, that's 2 boxes, right? And then you have a leading position and a trailing position. All right, so you put 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, gives you 4 quadrants. And we've only talked about the trailing and laid back and the trailing but diligent. And what does it take to get someone from this recollecting, trailing, laid back to, the first thing you have to do is you have to get someone to become diligent first. The way we do that is to motivate them. So in addition to just characterizing people, characterizing attitudes, we also want to be able to influence these attitudes by figuring out what makes them tick. Now, if you're discussing potential, all right, so people who like to shape potential. Now, usually these are younger people. These are inexperienced people. These are people who need to develop their potential. And they're constantly thinking about it, all right? They want to enhance their reputation. They want to attain certification. And, they're the people who, if you don't give them recognition for things that they've done, they're like, why, what's going on? It's like, hey, but, big business, they're like, whatever, I hired you to do a job, so do it. And then it's like, but I did it, but I made that contribution. And they're like, you're not the only one on the ship, buddy. But for the person who's creating that content, or providing that service, or designing that product, or selling that product, it's really important to that person to get that recognition. And of course, when you're young, you want to maintain and enhance your wellness. You want to gain resources. You want to develop methods. You want to deploy knowledge. These are all about shaping the potential. Now, as you can see, like enhancing reputation and other recognition, attaining other recognition, this is recognition from the outside. I need my community. I need my boss. I need my company. I need the people around me to recognize the contribution that I'm making. I need them to give me some kind of certificate that shows that I accomplished something. All right. Then some of the other ones, like maintaining or enhancing wellness, that's talking about something inside. I go to the gym because I want to be healthy. I am creating resources. I am developing methods. I am gaining skills. This is more about like how I can shape myself, or I can be part of a community that is shaping something within an organization. And then we also talked about allying with or creating entities. All right, so then there's two people, right? There's the person who creates the activity, there's the person who allies with that. All right, so now this person, I would say this person's like the entrepreneur, right? So the other things are talking about like attaining certification, getting recognition, like step by step, how do I build myself? But then when it comes to ally with or create, so people who like to create entities, create relationships, create activities. So it seems like these people are less worried about developing themselves. They are also less worried about what other people are saying, and they're more worried about actually doing something. All right, create that activity. All right, create that relationship, create that entity or relationship. Or then you have the other people who are like, I like people who create activities and I want to ally with that guy who's making that activity. All right, I like people who create relationships. I want to ally with that guy who's creating those relationships. I like to create entities, not directly, but I like to be with the guys who are doing the creating the entities. All right, so these are three different ways to look at shaping potential. So you need to identify, where is it, like of your colleagues, of the team players, of the providers, of the customers, what's going on, what's making them tick. Now, if your product or service does one of these things, like if you're in a gym, well, that means that your product is helping people to maintain or enhance wellness. You need to identify people who want to maintain or enhance their wellness, because your product is directly influenced by the desire of people to be motivated by that purpose. And then you have to figure out ways to inspire people to ignite that purpose, to connect with that purpose. All right. What about like if you're an education center, about attaining certification? So you just, you show that you are able to provide certification. How about recognition? Maybe within your own company, figure out ways to provide recognition. All right, so we already talked about a lot of these things. Now, yesterday, the day before, we talked about agendas. So characterize, what are the people, the organizations who like to what? Who like to gain goals, gain purpose, gain a sense of direction. All right, so people who like to put that plan together because now it makes sense. All right, so before it was just a simple desire. I wanted to shape that potential, but now I have a plan. I know what I want to do. I'm going to write it down so I have a sense of direction. I'm going to write it down and figure out how to do it so I have a sense of purpose, so I know I can gain that goal. Or optimizing risk taking or exposure to risk. All right, so it's like, all right, so I'm making this plan. I'm naturally motivated to make plans because I love to understand the risk. I love to research and understand what is the underlying risk behind this scenario, behind the variety of scenarios, behind having a partnership with somebody, behind going after a certain customer segment. And also the exposure to risk, slicing off the risk of problems that may arise as people use your products and services. How do you make it frictionless? How do I remove the risk for my customers so that they can attach themselves to my brand without feeling like they are taking an overly large amount of risk. So now where do we go from here? All right. So obviously we, in the endeavor elements, the next and the top element is talking about effects, creating effects. All right. So now in general, I would say that these people are the folks who just like to get it done. The robots, you give them the plan. You say, this is the outcome. This is what we want. This is the plan. And they say, great, I can follow instructions. I can achieve outcomes. Now, obviously you need people like this on your team. And they say, well, I don't care what the plan says. Like, I don't care. I don't need to dream up ways to develop potential. I don't really care about developing the potential. I don't really care about making the plan. But if you give me the plan, I can do it for you. All right, so this is like a computer program, right? You just the software is the plan. All you do is click the button, or like maybe artificial intelligence, or what, or a robot, right? You just put the program into the robot, and it just does that thing. It does the thing it's supposed to do. But it's a little more complicated than that, I think. So today we're talking about, at the 11-minute mark, we're talking about having satisfying experiences or relationships. And I really connected with this today because, my job right now is to talk to people. Every single day, I spend hours and hours and hours a day listening to people, listening to the problem that they're trying to solve, presenting them with a structure of thinking, asking them questions so that they can fill out the spaces in that structure, in that checklist, and then saying goodbye and hoping that they're going to go out and start to do those things. And that's the idea, having satisfying experiences or relationships. Because I really enjoy these checklists and I really enjoy these themes. I like talking about it. I like thinking about it. I like the structure. I like everything about it. And it helps me understand so much more about the process of doing business. And I can see how it helps people in their everyday business lives. That it actually gives me these satisfying experiences. And they're developing into interesting relationships. Now, maybe somebody has one lesson with me, maybe 10, maybe 20, and maybe they'll be talking to me for the rest of their life, on and off. But I really come to know that actually it's true, that I am motivated by this effect. I'm having really great experiences with people, and I'm enjoying the relationships that I'm gaining and developing, talking about things that I really enjoy talking about. Thank you for coming to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.